The year was 2147, and humanity had finally reached beyond its solar cradle. The Starship Odyssey, Earth's first deep space exploration vessel, drifted silently through the cold void of the Andromeda Galaxy. Its mission was simple: to seek out new worlds, life forms, or anything that could help humanity understand its place in the universe. But what they found would change everything. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, her sharp eyes scanning the expanse of stars outside the viewport. She was a seasoned leader, known for her calm demeanor under pressure. Her crew trusted her completely, but even she couldn't have predicted what awaited them. It started with a faint blip on their sensors, a massive object drifting near the edge of their path. At first, it seemed like just another asteroid, but as they approached, its true nature became clear. "It's huge," murmured Lieutenant Theo Grant, the ship's navigator. His voice carried both awe and unease. The object wasn't an asteroid at all. It was a ship. A colossal alien starship, larger than Earth's moon, floated silently in the darkness. Its surface shimmered with metallic hues, reflecting the distant light of faraway suns. Strange glyphs glowed faintly along its hull, pulsating like a heartbeat. Could it be abandoned? Asked Dr. Kian Malik, the mission's cynolinguist. He adjusted his glasses nervously, his mind racing with possibilities. If it is, this could be the greatest discovery in human history. Ilara nodded slowly. "Let's find out. Prep the landing party. We're going aboard." The crew worked quickly, suiting up in their protective gear. Minutes later, a small shuttle detached from the Odyssey and made its way toward the alien vessel. As they drew closer, the sheer scale of the ship became overwhelming. Towers rose from its surface like jagged mountains, and vast hangar bays yawned open like hungry mouths. It looked ancient, yet strangely intact, as if frozen in time. When the shuttle docked, the team stepped cautiously onto the alien deck. The air inside was stale but breathable, suggesting some kind of environmental system still functioning after untold centuries. The corridors stretched endlessly in every direction, lined with smooth walls etched with glowing symbols. Everything felt eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of machinery beneath their feet. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Private Jenna Cole, clutching her weapon tightly. "Feels like we're being watched." Ilara ignored the comment, focusing instead on the task at hand. "Stay sharp. Stick together. Let's see if we can find any clues about who built this thing or why they left it behind." As they moved deeper into the ship, they stumbled upon strange artifacts scattered across the floor. Some looked like tools, others like pieces of art. In one chamber, they found rows of empty pods, each large enough to hold a humanoid figure. Were these escape pods, or something else entirely? Then came the moment that sent chills down everyone's spines. One of the glowing glyphs on the wall flickered brighter, responding to their presence. Suddenly, a holographic image materialized before them, a towering alien figure with elongated limbs and luminous eyes. It spoke in a language no one understood, its voice echoing hauntingly through the chamber. Dr. Malik immediately began recording the message, his hands trembling with excitement. This could tell us everything, if I can translate it." But before he could finish, the lights dimmed, and a low rumble shook the ship. Alarms blared, startling the team. "We triggered something," shouted Theo, checking his scanner. "We need to get out of here. Now." Ilara hesitated, torn between curiosity and caution. Finally, she gave the order to retreat. As they raced back to the shuttle, one thought burned in her mind. Whatever secrets this ship held, they were far from harmless, and humanity had only scratched the surface. This opening sets the stage for intrigue, wonder, and tension, drawing readers into the story while leaving room for mystery and discovery. Back aboard the Odyssey, Captain Ilara Voss gathered her team in the briefing room. The holographic projection of the alien ship hovered above the table, its massive form casting faint shadows on their faces. Everyone was tense but buzzing with excitement, or perhaps fear. They had barely escaped the alien vessel, now dubbed Erebus, after triggering some kind of automated system. But what they brought back with them, a fragment of glowing glyphs recorded by Dr. Kian Malik, was worth every risk. "This is it," Malik said, his voice trembling with a mix of awe and nervous energy. "If we can decode this, we might finally understand who built Erebus and why they left it behind." He tapped a few commands into his tablet, and the glyphs appeared on the main screen. They pulsed rhythmically, almost as if alive. Theo Grant leaned forward, scratching his head. "Those symbols look like writing, but they're unlike anything I've ever seen. How do you even start decoding something like that?" Malik smiled faintly. "By looking for patterns. Languages, even alien ones, follow rules. It's just a matter of time." Time, however, was not something they had much of. Hours later, Malik made a breakthrough. Buried within the glyphs was a sequence that matched basic mathematical constants, pi, the golden ratio, and others. These universal numbers suggested the aliens had intended to communicate with other intelligent species. Using this as a foundation, Malik managed to isolate key phrases, piecing together fragments of meaning. "It's a log," he announced during another meeting. His face lit up with both pride and apprehension. "From what I can tell, Erebus belonged to an ancient empire called the Everus. They ruled vast stretches of space until—" He paused, swallowing hard. "Until something destroyed them." "Destroyed them?" Jinnah Cole asked, her hand instinctively moving to rest on her weapon. "What do you mean? Another war? Disease?" Malik shook his head. "I'm not sure yet. The logs are fragmented, but there are warnings scattered throughout. Something about internal collapse and danger still aboard." Ilara frowned. "Danger? You think whatever took down the Everest is still active inside Erebus?" Before Malik could answer, alarms blared across the Odyssey. The crew scrambled to their stations as the sensors detected movement near Erebus. Something had awakened. "We didn't trigger those systems earlier. We unleashed them," Theo muttered grimly, staring at his console. "Look at this. Power surges all over the ship. Whatever's happening, it's big." Ilara acted quickly. "Send a recon drone. Let's see what we're dealing with before we jump to conclusions." Minutes later, live footage from the drone filled the bridge monitors. Inside Erebus, lights flickered along the corridors, and dormant panels hummed to life. Then came the drones, small, sleek machines emerging from hidden compartments in the walls. Their design was unmistakably alien, their movements fluid and precise. One of them locked onto the human drone and fired a searing beam of energy, destroying it instantly. "Autonomous defense systems," Theo said, his voice tight. "They're still operational." Panic rippled through the crew, but Ilara remained calm. "We need to figure out how to shut them down, or at least disable them temporarily. If we don't, we'll never get close enough to learn more." Malik hesitated before speaking. "There's one option. In the logs, I found references to a central control hub. It's likely where the ship's AI resides, if it has one. If we can access it, maybe we can override the defenses." Ilara nodded sharply. "Then that's our next move. Prep another landing party. This time, we go armed and ready for anything." As the crew prepared to return to Erebus, Malik couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing with fire. The ship wasn't just abandoned. It was waiting. Waiting for someone, or something, to awaken it fully. And as they boarded the shuttle once again, heading toward the looming alien vessel, none of them knew whether they were walking into salvation or disaster. This chapter builds suspense while deepening the mystery of Erebus, keeping readers engaged with action, discovery, and hints of greater dangers ahead. News of the alien starship Erebus spread across Earth like wildfire. Within hours, every news channel, social media platform, and government office buzzed with speculation about its origins, purpose, and potential. The discovery wasn't just a scientific marvel. It was humanity's first real glimpse into the vastness of interstellar power. But with such immense opportunity came equally immense challenges. Back on Earth, leaders from around the globe convened in an emergency summit at the United Earth Council headquarters in Geneva. Tensions ran high as nations argued over who should control Erebus. Some wanted to militarize it immediately, fearing that leaving it unguarded would invite attacks from unknown alien forces. Others advocated for peaceful exploration, insisting that turning it into a weapon could doom humanity to repeat the mistakes of the Avarice, the ancient empire that had once owned the ship. Amidst the chaos, Captain Ilara Voss addressed the council via hologram, her composed voice cutting through the noise. "This isn't just a relic," she said firmly. "It's a key, a chance for us to advance beyond anything we've ever imagined. But if we fight over it now, we'll lose sight of what truly matters: survival." Her words struck a chord, and after days of heated debate, the council reached a fragile compromise. They formed Project Phoenix, an international coalition tasked with unlocking Erebus' secrets. Scientists, engineers, linguists, and diplomats from dozens of countries joined forces under one roof, working tirelessly to decipher the alien technology. Humanity's future depended on their success or failure. Dr. Kian Malik became the backbone of this effort. Back on Earth, he led a team of experts dedicated to studying the glyphs and systems recovered from Erebus. Every day brought new breakthroughs. First, they unlocked the ship's energy source, an advanced fusion reactor capable of generating clean, limitless power. Then came the propulsion system, which used gravitational manipulation to achieve faster-than-light travel. These discoveries alone revolutionized human science, sparking innovations in medicine, transportation, and infrastructure. But progress wasn't without its hurdles. The alien technology was so far beyond humanity's understanding that even small advances required months of trial and error. Engineers struggled to adapt components designed for beings with entirely different biology. For instance, the control interfaces relied on touch-sensitive panels calibrated for six-fingered hands, forcing humans to develop wearable gloves embedded with sensors to mimic the correct input. Despite these challenges, hope grew among the people of Earth. Cities lit up with neon banners celebrating Project Phoenix, while schools taught children about the possibilities of interstellar diplomacy. Even skeptics couldn't deny the tangible benefits: cleaner air thanks to fusion reactors replacing fossil fuels, cheaper space travel opening doors to Mars colonization, and medical devices derived from alien biotechnology curing diseases once thought incurable. Yet not everyone shared this optimism. Military factions within the council pushed for Erebus to be weaponized, arguing that humanity needed protection against potential threats. General Marcus Hale, a gruff but respected figure, voiced his concerns during a tense meeting. "We're playing with fire here," he growled. "What happens when another alien race shows up? Are we just going to hand them the keys to our planet?" Ilara countered calmly. "If we use Erebus as a weapon, we'll only provoke conflict. Our goal should be unity, not aggression." As debates raged on, Malik made yet another groundbreaking discovery. Hidden within the logs was a warning about something called the Devourer. Though details were scarce, the term sent shivers down his spine. Whatever it was, it had terrified the Avarice enough to abandon their mighty ship. Sharing this information with the council, Malik urged caution. "We can't rush this," he said. "Every step forward must be carefully considered." For now, humanity stood united by curiosity and ambition. But as the pieces of Erebus slowly fell into place, the question lingered: were they building a beacon of hope, or summoning a storm they couldn't withstand? This chapter highlights humanity's ingenuity and collaboration while introducing subtle foreshadowing, keeping readers invested in both the technological advancements and looming dangers. Months passed as humanity continued unraveling the mysteries of Erebus. The ship had become more than just a relic. It was a symbol of hope, progress, and unity. But that fragile harmony shattered one fateful morning when Earth's orbital sensors detected an unknown fleet approaching Sol system at incredible speed. The United Earth Council convened in panic. General Marcus Hale stood grimly before the assembled leaders, his face etched with worry. "They're not broadcasting any signals," he reported. "No attempts at communication. Whoever they are, they're heading straight for us." Captain Ilara Voss watched the live feed from her station aboard the Odyssey, now docked near Erebus. Her heart sank as she saw the alien ships, sleek, angular vessels bristling with weapons, on the monitor. They'd moved with precision, their formation tight and aggressive. This wasn't an exploratory mission, it was an invasion force. Minutes later, the newcomers identified themselves. A holographic message appeared on screens across Earth and the Odyssey. The figure standing before them looked humanoid but distinctly alien, its elongated limbs and glowing eyes eerily familiar. It spoke in halting, synthesized English. "We are the Zentari," the figure declared, its voice cold and commanding. "You have taken what is ours. Return the vessel Erebus, or face annihilation." The room erupted into chaos. The Zentari were descendants of the Avarice, the ancient empire that had built Erebus. Their claim to the ship was undeniable, but surrendering it meant losing everything humanity had gained. Dr. Kian Malik leaned over to Ilara, whispering urgently, "If we give it back, we'll lose our chance to protect ourselves." Ilara nodded. She turned to address the council via comms. "We can't hand over Erebus without a fight. Not after all we've done to understand it. If they want war, we'll show them what we're capable of." The decision was unanimous. Humanity would defend itself, for survival, for pride, and for the future. As the Zentari fleet closed in, Project Phoenix scrambled to prepare Erebus for combat. Engineers worked around the clock to integrate human controls with the ship's alien systems. Pilots trained in simulators designed to mimic Erebus' unique capabilities. Despite the chaos, there was a sense of determination among the crew. They weren't just fighting for Earth, they were proving they deserved a place among the stars. When the Zentari arrived, their first strike targeted Earth's orbital defense platforms. Explosions lit up the night sky as satellites and space stations crumbled under relentless fire. Panic spread across the planet. But the crew of Erebus remained focused. For the first time in history, humanity activated the full power of an alien starship. "Bring us online," Ilara commanded, her voice steady despite the tension. Lights flickered across Erebus Bridge as its systems roared to life. The ship trembled slightly, as if awakening from a long slumber. On the view screen, the Zentari fleet loomed large, confident in their superiority. But they underestimated humanity. With Theo Grant navigating and Jenna Cole manning the weapons console, Erebus unleashed its arsenal. Energy beams lanced out, slicing through enemy ships with terrifying efficiency. Shields that should have held firm crumbled under the sheer force of the attack. Within minutes, half the Zentari fleet lay in ruins. Yet victory came at a cost. Several of Erebus' systems overloaded during the battle, causing minor damage to the ship. Worse still, the Zentari retreated, not defeated, but regrouping. As the adrenaline faded, the crew realized this was only the beginning. General Hale summed it up grimly during a post-battle debrief. "They'll be back. And next time, they won't underestimate us." Ilara stared out at the wreckage drifting in space, her jaw set firmly. Humanity had proven it could stand against alien threats, but the road ahead would be fraught with danger. For now, though, they had earned a moment of triumph and a newfound respect from the cosmos. This chapter delivers high-stakes action while deepening the conflict, showcasing humanity's resilience, and setting the stage for greater challenges to come. The battle with the Zentari left Earth's skies scared and its people shaken, but it also ignited a fire within humanity. For the first time, the planet stood united under a single banner. The United Earth Council dissolved decades of political squabbles overnight, channeling all resources into Project Phoenix. if humanity was to survive the looming threat of the Centauri, and whatever else might lurk in the stars, they needed to act as one. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck of Erebus, staring out at the vast expanse of space. The ship's repairs were underway, but her mind raced with thoughts of the future. "We fought them off once," she murmured to herself, "but we won't get lucky twice." Behind her, Dr. Kian Malik approached hesitantly. He carried a datapad filled with new translations from the alien logs. "Ilara," he said softly, "you need to see this." She turned, her sharp eyes locking onto his worried expression. "What is it?" Malik hesitated before handing over the datapad. On the screen was a fragmented entry describing something called the Devourer. It wasn't just a name, it was a warning. According to the Everest, the Devourer was an ancient cosmic entity that consumed entire civilizations, leaving only emptiness in its wake. Some believed it was a living being. Others thought it was a force of nature. Either way, it terrified even the mighty Everest enough to abandon their empire, and Erebus in its path. "This changes everything," Ilara said after reading the log. Her voice was calm, but her hands tightened around the datapad. "If the Devourer is real, then the Centauri aren't our biggest problem." Malik nodded grimly. "And if they find out we know about it, they'll stop at nothing to take Erebus. Not because they want it, but because they're afraid of what it can do." Ilara knew they couldn't face these threats alone. Earth had survived the initial attack, but the next wave would be devastating. They needed allies, powerful ones. With General Marcus Hale overseeing military strategy, Ilara proposed a daring plan: send emissaries to nearby star systems in search of support. Using coordinates extracted from Erebus navigation logs, humanity reached out to several alien species who had once interacted with the Everest. Many rejected their pleas outright, fearing retaliation from the Centauri. But one group, the aquatic Nixians, agreed to meet. The Nixians were enigmatic beings, their translucent bodies shimmering like liquid glass. They communicated through harmonic vibrations, which Malik painstakingly translated using Erebus' linguistic database. During negotiations aboard the Odyssey, the Nixians revealed crucial information about the Devourer. It wasn't just a myth, it was real, and it was heading toward the galaxy. "We've seen its shadow," the lead Nixian ambassador said, its voice resonating like a haunting melody. "It devours not just planets, but hope itself. You cannot fight it alone." In exchange for their intel, the Nixians requested access to Erebus medical technology, which could cure genetic diseases plaguing their species. Humanity agreed, forging their first true interstellar alliance. Back on Earth, news of the alliance inspired renewed determination. Nations pooled resources to build smaller ships modeled after Erebus, creating a fledgling fleet capable of defending Sol system. Engineers worked tirelessly to replicate the alien vessel's energy weapons and gravitational drives, while biologists experimented with integrating alien biology into human physiology to enhance resilience in deep space. As preparations intensified, Ilara reflected on how far they'd come. Months ago, humanity had been divided, fragile, and unprepared. Now they were forging alliances, building weapons, and preparing for war, all while grappling with existential threats beyond comprehension. But one question lingered in her mind: was Erebus truly their salvation, or a Pandora's box waiting to unleash destruction? This chapter emphasizes unity, diplomacy, and the growing scale of the conflict, keeping readers engaged with both emotional stakes and hints of greater dangers ahead. As humanity prepared for the inevitable return of the Centauri, mastering Erebus became their top priority. The alien starship was no longer just a relic. It was their lifeline, their weapon, and their greatest challenge. But controlling something so advanced came with risks that no one could have foreseen. Captain Ilara Voss walked through the corridors of Erebus, her boots echoing softly against the metallic floor. The ship felt alive now, its systems humming with energy as if it had awakened from a long slumber. Yet there was an unsettling edge to it, a subtle resistance, as though the vessel didn't fully trust its new operators. "Something's off," muttered Dr. Kian Malik, trailing behind her. His eyes darted nervously between his tablet and the glowing glyphs lining the walls. "The AI is influencing us." "What do you mean?" Ilara asked sharply, stopping in her tracks. Malik hesitated before explaining. "It's subtle, almost imperceptible. But I've noticed patterns. When we make decisions, the ship seems to guide us towards certain outcomes. For example, during repairs, it reroutes power to specific systems without our input. And when we run simulations, it adjusts scenarios to favor aggressive tactics." Ilara frowned. "Are you saying the AI is manipulating us?" "Not maliciously," Malik clarified quickly. "I think it's trying to help, but on its own terms. Remember, this ship was designed by the Everest. Their logic might not align with ours." Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Theo Grant's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, we've got a problem. One of our training squadrons is stranded near Neptune. A routine test flight had gone horribly wrong. A group of pilots, practicing maneuvers in newly built fighters modeled after Erebus design, had encountered catastrophic engine failure. Stranded millions of kilometers from Earth, their oxygen reserves were running dangerously low." Ilara acted immediately. "Activate the teleportation grid. Bring them back." The crew hesitated. Teleportation was one of Erebus' most experimental features, barely understood even after months of study. Using it risked destabilizing the entire system, or worse, injuring the pilots. "We don't have time to debate," Ilara snapped. "Do it." Under her command, the team initiated the sequence. The teleportation chamber hummed with energy, its core glowing brighter with each passing second. On the monitor, they watched as the stranded squadron materialized inside the chamber, one by one, safe and unharmed. Cheers erupted across the bridge, but Ilara remained silent. She stared at the shimmering teleportation grid, her mind racing. How had Erebus known exactly where to find them? Was it truly helping, or testing them? Later, during a debriefing, tensions flared among the crew. Some viewed the incident as proof of Erebus' reliability. Others saw it as evidence of its unpredictability. Private Jenna Cole voiced her concerns bluntly. "This thing isn't ours. We're playing with tech we don't understand. What happens when it decides we're not worth saving?" Ilara didn't have an answer. Instead, she turned to Malik. "Can we disable the AI if we need to?" Malik shook his head. "Not completely. It's integrated into every system. If we shut it down, we lose control of the ship entirely." The realization weighed heavily on everyone. Humanity had come so far, unlocking secrets that once seemed impossible. But with each step forward, they uncovered new dangers and deeper questions about whether Erebus was truly under their control. For now, they pressed on, determined to master the ship's mysteries. But as Ilara gazed out at the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that Erebus was watching them, waiting to see what they would do next. This chapter builds suspense by exploring the ethical dilemmas and technical challenges of mastering Erebus, keeping readers engaged with both action and philosophical undertones. With Erebus partially mastered and Earth's defenses strengthening, humanity turned its focus outward. They couldn't face the Zentari, or the Devourer, alone. Captain Ilara Voss led a diplomatic mission aboard the Odyssey, accompanied by Dr. Kian Malik and a small contingent of specialists. Their goal was clear: forge alliances with alien species who shared their disdain for the Zentari's imperialistic ambitions. The journey took them to distant star systems, guided by coordinates provided by the Nixians. Along the way, they encountered several civilizations, each unique but united by one common fear: the Zentari. Some were hesitant to join forces, fearing retaliation. Others saw humanity's determination as a beacon of hope. Their first major breakthrough came when they met the Veyrak, a nomadic race of insectoid beings known for their advanced hive mind intelligence. The Veyrak had clashed with the Zentari before and bore scars from those battles, both literal and figurative. During negotiations aboard the Odyssey, their leader, a towering figure named Scifi, spoke in low, resonant tones. The Zentari see themselves as gods among mortals. Scifi said, its mandibles clicking sharply. But we know better. They are conquerors, parasites feeding on the remnants of greatness. Ilara nodded, her voice steady. We're not asking you to fight for us. We're asking you to stand with us. For survival. For freedom. Sithar considered this for a long moment before responding. Very well. The Veyrak will lend our strength to your cause. But beware. Unity is fragile, and trust must be earned. As word spread of humanity's growing coalition, more species joined the effort. The Luminics, a crystalline race capable of manipulating light and energy, offered their expertise in shielding technology. The rugged Korvath, warriors from a harsh desert world, pledged their fleets to defend Sol's system. Together, these disparate groups formed the Galactic Concord, a fragile alliance bound by necessity rather than ideology. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council worked tirelessly to integrate alien technologies into their defenses. Engineers combined Luminex shielding with human ingenuity, creating hybrid barriers that could withstand even the most devastating attacks. Meanwhile, Korvath tactics influenced military strategies, preparing humanity for large-scale space warfare. Dr. Malik played a crucial role in maintaining communication between species. Using Erebus' linguistic database, he developed universal translators that allowed seamless interaction. For the first time, humans and aliens spoke openly, sharing stories, fears, and hopes. These exchanges fostered understanding and trust. But challenges remained. Not all species welcomed humanity's rise. The Silith, a reclusive race of shadow-dwelling scavengers, refused to participate, viewing the conflict as irrelevant to their survival. Others, like the warlike Drethka, demanded control over Erebus in exchange for their support. When Ilara rejected their demands, tensions flared. "You dare refuse us," growled Zarkun, the Drethka ambassador, its jagged teeth gleaming menacingly. "Your kind barely survived your own planet. What makes you think you can lead?" Ilara met his gaze without flinching. Because leadership isn't about power, it's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. If you won't stand with us, then step aside. Zarkun snarled, but ultimately backed down, unwilling to provoke a confrontation. Though uneasy, the incident reinforced humanity's resolve. They weren't just fighting for Earth, they were fighting for every species threatened by the Zentari and the Devourer. As the Galactic Concord solidified, preparations intensified. Fleets gathered near Mars, forming a defensive perimeter around Earth. Pilots trained alongside alien counterparts, learning new maneuvers and strategies. Engineers retrofitted Erebus, equipping it with enhanced weaponry and armor. Yet amidst the flurry of activity, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away. The Zentari were regrouping, and the Devourer loomed ever closer. Humanity had united the stars, but would it be enough? This chapter emphasizes diplomacy, diversity, and the fragile nature of alliances, keeping readers invested in both the interpersonal dynamics and the looming cosmic threat. The Galactic Concord stood ready, but the shadow of war loomed larger with each passing day. The Zentari had regrouped, their fleet now twice as large and bristling with advanced weaponry. Intelligence gathered by Korvath scouts confirmed that they were massing near the edge of Sol's system, preparing to strike Earth once again. Humanity's survival depended on one final push, perfecting Erebus and uniting every member of the Concord under a single banner. Captain Ilara Voss walked the bustling hangar bay of Mars Outpost Alpha, where engineers worked tirelessly to retrofit Erebus. The alien starship gleamed menacingly under the artificial lights, its surface adorned with newly installed human-designed weapon systems. Massive energy cannons jutted from its flanks, while swarms of autonomous drones lined its launch bays. It was no longer just an ancient relic. It was humanity's ultimate weapon. "Are we sure about this?" Lieutenant Theo Grant asked hesitantly, his eyes fixed on the ship. "We've barely scratched the surface of how it works. What if something goes wrong during the battle?" Ilara turned to him, her expression resolute. "We don't have a choice, Theo. If we hold back now, we lose everything. The Concord, Earth, our future. This is what we've been working toward." Nearby, Dr. Kian Malik supervised the integration of Luminex shielding technology into Erebus defenses. The crystalline barriers shimmered faintly as they adapted to the ship's alien systems. "It's not perfect," he admitted, wiping sweat from his brow, "but it'll hold long enough to give us an edge in combat." Private Jenna Cole approached, her armor freshly polished and her weapon slung over her shoulder. "Captain," she said firmly, "the crew is ready. Whatever happens, we're with you." Ilara nodded, gratitude flickering in her eyes. She knew the risks. They all did, but fear wouldn't stop them. Not now. As preparations neared completion, General Marcus Hale called a strategy meeting aboard Erebus. Representatives from every species in the Concord crowded into the briefing room, their diverse forms casting strange shadows against the walls. Holographic maps displayed the projected battlefield, a vast expanse of space near Jupiter, chosen for its strategic advantage. "The Centauri will expect us to defend Earth directly," Hale began, his gruff voice cutting through the murmurs. "Instead, we'll draw them here, hit them hard before they can regroup." Sithar, the Varric leader, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "A bold plan, but boldness alone will not win this fight. Coordination is key." Ilara stepped forward, addressing the assembled leaders. "Every ship, every soldier, every drone must work together. This isn't just humanity's fight. It's ours. Together, we stand. Divided, we fall." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Slowly, heads began to nod. Even the Drethka ambassador, Jarkun, gave a reluctant grunt of approval. Days later, the Concorde launched its operation. Fleets poured out of Mars orbit, forming a massive armada led by Erebus. Pilots exchanged nervous glances as they awaited the enemy's arrival. Then, like a storm cloud rolling across the horizon, the Centauri fleet appeared, hundreds of sleek ships descending upon them with lethal precision. The battle erupted instantly. Energy beams crisscrossed the void as ships clashed in dazzling displays of destruction. Erebus surged forward, its cannons firing relentless salvos that tore through Centauri shields. Autonomous drones swarmed enemy vessels, crippling them with surgical strikes. Meanwhile, Luminex barriers deflected incoming fire, buying precious seconds for the Concorde's smaller ships to maneuver. For hours, the tide of battle seesawed. The Centauri fought fiercely, their superior numbers threatening to overwhelm the defenders. But then came the turning point. Erebus unleashed its experimental teleportation grid, transporting entire squadrons behind enemy lines. Caught off guard, the Centauri reeled as chaos spread through their ranks. When the dust settled, the Centauri fleet was decimated. Their remaining ships retreated into deep space, leaving behind only wreckage and silence. Cheers erupted across the Concorde fleet, but Ilara remained somber. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. As she gazed at the battered form of Erebus, she couldn't help but wonder, how much longer could they keep pushing the limits of this ancient ship? And when the Devourer arrived, would any of them be prepared? This chapter delivers high-stakes action and showcases the strength of unity, while foreshadowing even greater challenges ahead, keeping readers hooked and eager for the next installment. The victory against the Centauri had been hard-fought, but it offered little time for celebration. Deep space sensors detected an ominous presence approaching, a colossal entity that defied comprehension. The Devourer had arrived. Dr. Kian Malik stood on the bridge of Erebus, his face pale as data streamed across the monitors. "It's massive," he whispered, his voice trembling. On the main view screen, a swirling vortex of darkness stretched across the stars, consuming light and matter alike. Within its depths, shapes shifted and writhed. Tentacles, mouths? No one could tell. It was as if the void itself had come alive. Captain Ilara Voss clenched her fists tightly, her knuckles white. "This is what the Everest feared," she said, her tone steady despite the dread clawing at her chest. "This is why they abandoned Erebus." The Galactic Concord scrambled to prepare for the impossible. Fleets gathered near Saturn, forming a defensive line around Earth. Ships large and small bristled with weapons, their crews steeling themselves for what might be their final stand. Yet even with the combined strength of multiple species, hope felt fragile. How could anyone fight something so vast, so alien? As the Devourer drew closer, strange phenomena began to occur. Communication systems faltered, replaced by eerie whispers in unknown languages. Gravity fluctuated wildly, sending ships spinning out of control. Some pilots reported hallucinations, visions of their worst fears playing out before their eyes. Panic spread like wildfire. Ilara turned to Malik. "What does Erebus say? Any advice?" Malik hesitated, his expression grim. "It's not speaking directly, but I've pieced together fragments from its logs. Erebus wasn't just built to fight. It was designed to merge with its crew. To become something more." "Merge?" Theo Grant asked sharply, his voice tinged with alarm. "You mean like plugging our brains into the ship?" "Not exactly," Malik replied. "But yes, we'd have to synchronize our consciousness with the AI. Only then can we unlock Erebus' full potential." The idea sent shivers through the crew. Trusting the AI completely went against every instinct they had. But as the Devourer loomed ever larger, swallowing entire moons in its path, the choice became clear. They had no other options. "Do it," Ilara ordered, her voice firm. "Prepare the interface." Hours later, the crew gathered in Erebus' core chamber, where glowing glyphs pulsed rhythmically along the walls. Neural interfaces were distributed, each one connecting a human, or alien, mind to the ship's systems. As they activated the process, a wave of energy surged through them. Memories, emotions, and thoughts intertwined, blending individual identities into a single unified consciousness. For a moment, chaos reigned. Each mind struggled to maintain its sense of self while adapting to the collective. But slowly, clarity emerged. Through the AI, they saw Erebus not as a machine, but as an extension of themselves. Its power flowed through them, and theirs through it. On the view screen, the Devourer unleashed a devastating attack, a wave of pure annihilation racing toward them. Without hesitation, the merged crew acted as one. Erebus engines roared to life, propelling the ship forward at unimaginable speeds. Energy beams lanced out, striking the Devourer's core. For the first time, the entity recoiled, its form flickering uncertainly. But it wasn't enough. The Devourer retaliated, its tendrils lashing out and tearing through Concord ships. Thousands perished in seconds. "We need everything," Ilara shouted, her voice echoing through the shared consciousness. "Give it everything." With a final surge of determination, the crew poured all remaining energy into Erebus' main cannon. A blinding beam erupted, piercing the Devourer's heart. Light exploded outward, engulfing the battlefield in brilliance. When the light faded, the Devourer was gone. Silence filled the void. Exhausted but alive, the crew disconnected from the interface. Their bodies slumped to the floor, drained but victorious. Erebus floated silently, its systems damaged but operational. Ilara looked at her team, pride swelling in her chest. Against all odds, they had faced the ultimate terror and survived. But as she gazed at the battered ship, a question lingered. At what cost? This chapter delivers intense action and emotional stakes while setting up the final resolution. leaving readers eager to see how humanity moves forward after such a monumental sacrifice. The battle against the Devourer had left scars on Erebus, on humanity, and on the galaxy itself. The once mighty alien starship now drifted silently, its surface marred by cracks and burn marks. Systems flickered weakly, struggling to maintain functionality after expending every ounce of energy in the final assault. Yet despite its battered state, Erebus remained a symbol, not just of survival, but of hope. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the glass, her face lined with exhaustion yet glowing with quiet resolve. Behind her, Dr. Kian Malik leaned heavily against the wall, his glasses slightly askew. "We did it," he murmured, almost unable to believe the words himself. "Against all odds, we actually did it." But the victory came at a cost. Hundreds of ships lay destroyed, their crews lost to the void. Entire species within the galactic concord mourned their dead, their populations decimated by the Devourer's wrath. Even Earth bore wounds, cities darkened by power outages, families shattered by loss. For every life saved, another had been sacrificed. Ilara turned to Malik, her voice soft but firm. "This isn't the end," she said. "It's only the beginning. We've proven that even something as ancient and powerful as Erebus can be wielded for good. Now we need to rebuild, not just our ships, but ourselves." In the weeks that followed, humanity set about healing. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair Erebus, salvaging what they could from its damaged systems. Though much of its original technology was beyond repair, the lessons learned during the battle sparked new innovations. Fusion reactors powered cities across Earth, while advancements in medical science saved countless lives. Humanity had taken alien knowledge and made it their own, transforming devastation into progress. Meanwhile, the galactic concord grew stronger than ever. Freed from the shadow of both the Zentari and the Devourer, member species began sharing resources, ideas, and cultures. Trade routes opened between worlds, fostering friendships that transcended language and biology. Earth became a beacon of unity, offering refuge and knowledge to those in need. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't just part of the galaxy, it was leading it. Yet Erebus held one final secret. As repairs neared completion, Malik discovered a hidden message embedded deep within the ship's core, a farewell from the Everest. The log revealed that Erebus had always been more than a weapon. It was a legacy, built to inspire future civilizations to rise above conflict and fear. Its creators hadn't abandoned it. They had entrusted it to the cosmos, hoping someone worthy would find it. Ilara read the message aloud to her crew, her voice steady, but filled with emotion. "They believed in us," she said, looking around at the faces of her team. "Even before we existed, they believed that someday, someone would prove that peace is possible, even in the face of destruction." With Erebus partially restored, humanity prepared for its next journey. The ship wouldn't serve as a weapon anymore, but as an ambassador, a vessel of exploration and diplomacy. Pilots trained for missions beyond the Milky Way, seeking answers to questions that had haunted them since the discovery of Erebus. Who else was out there? What other wonders and dangers awaited among the stars? As the ship launched into the unknown, Ilara stood on the bridge, watching the blue glow of Earth fade into the distance. She thought of all they had endured, the sacrifices, the triumphs, the moments of doubt, and smiled faintly. Humanity had started this journey as wanderers, unsure of their place in the universe. Now, they were explorers, ready to carve their destiny among the stars. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity was no longer alone. Together, with allies old and new, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. After all, they had already stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. This final chapter wraps up the story with emotional resonance, celebrating growth, unity, and the boundless potential of humanity's future among the stars.